Hey guys, welcome to the Talk and Roll Express episode 14, WrestleMania VI. WrestleMania VI was the sixth WrestleMania professional wrestling pay-per-view event produced by the World Wrestling Federation and the first to be held outside of the United States. It took place on April 1st, 1990, at SkyDome in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, with an attendance of 67,678, then a record for the SkyDome.
Right guys, initial impressions of this pay-per-view.
I really enjoyed it.
I did as well.
It was. I think, like anything, there were a couple of bum notes and ones that I think they should have done better. But for me, this was actually pretty enjoyable. I think as well where we're coming from in your house, which, for want of a better phrase, it was literally a recorded house show. It was a taped house show in front of 2,500 people. This was obviously in front of 65,000 people, and you do feel the step check. Well, they said it was in front of 65,000 people.
Why would they lie?
Knowing Vince, it was two man and a dog. But yeah, it feels like even in the weaker moments, they'd step the game up as well.
I like how you're saying they stepped their game up, despite the fact we've not watched anything before '91 before. It's got a lot. It says a lot. To be fair, I was thinking that throughout watching this, and that I did enjoy myself. And obviously, we, having hindsight, know about things to come, even from the next year, sort of thing, as to how far where the product goes and people's interest in it, etc. But I think, as far as my impressions go, I'm really struggling to straddle the line. Like, I keep trying to tell myself, we've been watching passable in your houses for the past so many weeks. Is this the fact? Am I legitimately enjoying this, or just enjoying the fact that I'm not watching another 98 in your house kind of thing? So I did enjoy myself, but I'm skeptical. I'm looking in the mirror and questioning myself every moment about it.
I'd go along with that view. Is it a case of this was good, this was legit, and I enjoyed it, or are you just feeding me a better flavour of shit?
Is it Stockholm Syndrome, or is it love, really?
Yeah. I think it was more to do with the presentation overall. You're watching the matches in isolation. There was nearly kind of like 5-star matches, I would say. It wasn't a lot of great work, but the presentation was excellent. The commentary hooked me. The crowd were white hot.
Yeah.
I've actually shut my eyes at one point and still knew what was happening. I was getting told a great story by the body Monsoon.
Well, see, interestingly enough, and you guys are somewhat better historians than I am. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous to call any of us a historian, but you'll know more than me. So my understanding of the Fed at this point is that the next year, that WrestleMania, did it even happen in the Coliseum? Was the numbers that bad they had to move it to a smaller venue? Am I wrong in saying that?
Kind of mind.
So
maybe.
In theory, then, being that this is in the Great North or whatever, is that because they knew they couldn't do the numbers, well, in their own territory, kind of thing? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, is the reason the crowd's white hot is because, holy shit, we get to see a WrestleMania, kind of thing. Of course, like, I'm sitting there. I'm like a beaten housewife. I'm so skeptical right now. I don't know whether to come out the closet or if Vince is still behind the door. I don't know what's going on. But I mean, one thing that I will get over is the work being done by every single person on the card. Even from the first match, I was unbelievably impressed by the quality of actual physical work being done. I mean, there is Andre to talk about, but we'll get to that.
Just to your point there, the crowd for this was also billed at 67,000. WrestleMania the year after was 16,000.
I was right. Yeah. And is this a sign of things to come? Were they already doing bad business at this point, and this was like a... Well, no, because then you wouldn't book the Coliseum, would you? Unless you have the hubris the size of McMahon, to be fair. Yeah.
To be fair, WrestleMania 8 was a return to form in sense because it's a stadium show. So I don't know if it was maybe just... I didn't think 91 was a bad year. I can't remember, really. But it is a bit of a drop.
People blame it on Slaughter, which I believe is a little bit unfair. It seems like every time we talk about Slaughter, we have to say, "Oh, he's a man out of his time," and he's just not got the hold over the audience as he used to and stuff. But yeah, we'll talk about this Mania. Why not? Never mind the next one. Apologies.
Well, when I first saw Warrior and Hogan made out of electricity in the beginning, in the opening pyro, I thought this isn't going to be 2 hours. This is not going to be short and sweet. And then I looked at the runtime, and it's 3 hours and I believe 35 minutes long.
Yeah.
This is actually 6 minutes longer than Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. So I knew we were in trouble to begin with.
Yeah,
So
as soon as
this
I
could have
tuned
done.
in and the bar came up and it was 3 hours 35 minutes, I was like, fuck.
This is very much just try and get as many of the boys in the bill as possible. There were so many matches in this.
Yeah. Aye. Did anyone else feel like Warrior wrote the opening promo? Like it was very fitting to his character, not so much Hulk's. Like there was little foreshadowings going on as to who exactly was going over tonight.
I was
Kind of
about to
thing, in my
say,
opinion.
either that or this was Vince trying to see if someone other than Hogan can be the man.
Mhm.
So they were trying to get all the cards stacked in Warrior's favour.
Yeah. I suppose. The guy knows how to put someone over, I guess, just as much as he knows how to royally bury them.
This would have been right about the same time that he was going to do Mr. Nanny and Suburban Commando, though, wasn't it? Like he was maybe sort of breaking into Hollywood.
You had to bring it up, didn't you, Lewis?
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to omit it, was it? I mean, it was tagged into the story of why he was leaving. I thought the people might as well know.
Give the people what they want.
Oh, so I've just quickly looked up Mr. Nanny. Had a budget of $10 million. What did they spend $10 million on? It got 4.3 million at the box office.
The baby oil used to cover that bodacious bod.
There's that in the scene, Mr. Nanny, where in the opening the guy throws a dog out of the water in the background. You see Hogan's on his motorbike, and there's this random scene in the background, a guy just throwing his dog in the water.
I've not actually seen it. So is this scripted?
No. This is like a protocol.
It was an actual shoot.
Jesus.
It's a shoot dog.
I'm sure it was still Hulk.
I've never seen it, and I don't know if I know it's anecdotally bad or I just pull the pieces together in my brain. It's like Hulk Hogan in a 1993 movie called Mr. Nanny has got to be shit.
Bad. It's really bad.
Mm-hmm. Right, well, to start off this incredible epic WrestleMania, we have the barn burner of all barn burners, which is Coco Beware versus Rick the Model Martel. Shall we discuss this match ad nauseum, or shall we just move on to match number 2?
We shall discuss it at nauseum, Lewis.
Oh.
How can we not? No, I'm kidding. Don't worry.
Yeah, all I would really say about it was
It's just one of those. What jarred me was the finish. So he just locks him in the not the walls of Jericho, because this is 1990. But he locks him in the Boston Crab, and I don't know if I misremember this, because obviously tapping wasn't really a thing, but he locks him in the Boston Crab. It feels like for a second, and that's it. The match is over.
Yeah.
Clearly, you've never been put in the Boston crab before.
I was about to say, I am an older brother. I am the first child, so no one's ever put me in the Boston Crab. I put people in the Boston Crab.
You refuse.
Tolerance.
I mean, if people want to just sound cap that bit, hit record. Ollie is actively admitting that he was refusing to put lower people on the card over.
Absolutely. You think Hogan was the first one to say that won't work for me, brother?
I'm so ashamed I've just completely omitted Robert Goulet's rendition of "Oh Canada."
You bastard.
This was exciting for me because I forgot Robert Goulet was a real person, not a Simpsons character.
Well, I mean, he gets instant points from me for Naked Gun 2.5. I mean, that's...
Well, a wee bit trivia, Lou. So, like, Robert Goulet and Vader both featured in the same episode of Boy Meets World.
Get it down.
I'm sure it's the same episode. They've been in it. I'm sure it's the same episode.
So the rest of Lewis's Sunday evening has been scheduled.
Well, that's my day being made. I didn't think a lot more had we been reviewing the Great American Bash 1990. Where the big man's treated as a special attraction, no less.
two things I want to get in here about this match, and I'll stop talking. Firstly, never have I heard something that'll boil the blood of the wrestling purists more than Ollie refusing to put over the Boston Crab over the fucking Walls of Jericho. Secondly, we used this match when complaining about the poll that made us. We had a poll and people actually voted, which basically insinuates that people actually listen to this podcast. And our major complaint on the group chat was that we didn't get to watch Sting versus Flair, but instead we were given Coco Beware versus Rick the Body Martel.
There's 14 matches on this pay-per-view. 14.
I mean,
Yeah, come on, Cammy, let's wrap up. We've got other matches to talk about.
I was about to say, to be fair, these matches had a total run time of like 5 minutes, though.
Yeah.
Like, you see the card and it's like, oh, Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. Wow, fantastic. And it's like, fuck's sake.
Squash.
I will
19
get blood out
seconds.
of this stone.
Right, on
Okay,
to match
we'll
number
move
2.
on.
We have the Colossal Connection versus Demolition. Yay or nay? Shall we even bother? Or no?
Swipe right or left, I don't know what it is.
I mean,
Cool,
just
very, very cool. I just want to say that.
just a word on this match is that Andre the Giant was so big he once had to take a shit in a bathtub. It has no bearing on this match, but I would like to entertain the prospect that both Big Show and the Great Khali have also done this.
This was, I believe, this was the big man's last Mania before he just got to a stage where he couldn't even walk. I mean, I don't know if you kind of been catched up on Twitter recently. There was the photos that was released. It was his last photo shoot before he passed away, and the guy just looked absolutely cooked. I mean, I believe that was early '93 as well, or maybe late '92. But Andre's in a bad way here.
It's one of those. Obviously, he was always a big guy, and he always suffered with it. And I think taking bumps and going around the world obviously isn't going to help that situation. Just moving on from this as well, on the subject of big guys and everything. Lewis, do you think Vader ever took a shit in a bath?
No, I think but he was so agile, he could just squat over the porcelain without putting his ass down on it and causing any damage, because Vader was that notoriously easy to work with.
Yeah, it was quite stiff. I mean, like, he probably fucking damaged that toilet when he sat in it.
I was about to say, I can see him, like, dropping onto the toilet and breaking
The
it.
standards of this podcast.
I think he did take a shit in the bath, but only to make a statement.
Yeah.
He
Doesn't
was a
have
bit.
to
Probably went and he broke into Stan Hansen's flat under cover of night. His left one night. That was for the eye, you bastard.
Name a bigger monster heel move than shitting in someone's bath.
Shitting in someone's bag. Yes.
Yes, fuck you, Randy.
Yeah.
On to bigger and brighter, we've got Hercules versus Earthquake, match number 3.
Was that a joke as well?
Well, I know it was. Of course it was a joke, bigger and brighter. Earthquake. Is there anything to talk about here, or should we just...
We can talk about how in the opening promo, it seems like someone off camera's got a gun to Earthquake's head, forcing him to keep moving because he looks like he's constantly in pain by doing whatever the fuck exercise he's doing. He looks like a MMA fighter trying to desperately make weight before the fight, and he's got about 5 minutes to go. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it did look like he was about to have a stroke, even before he went out in the pre-match promo. Like, he looked positively exacerbated. I'm like, what could you have been doing that would have necessitated that kind of look?
Not sitting down? I don't know. Jesus.
Yeah, he hit a real high stride with those years as Golga and the Oddities during the Attitude Era. Obviously, this is pre that. Yeah, there's nothing really to discuss. Hercules versus Earthquake, is there? Instant pass.
I just think the standard of wrestler names has really come on in the last 30 years. Hercules against Earthquake, Coco Beware. They sound like fucking Crash Bandicoot bosses.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're forgetting the fact the man that's still relatively in charge, Bruce Pritchard, will die on the hill defending these gimmicks.
Yeah.
And that is half of the problem with the modern product. But alas, let us not again divulge into a rant about that. Let's move on and continue on this quest to make a 3-hour show a 5-minute podcast.
If you're interested in hearing rants by Cam about a modern product, please check out earlier episodes of the Talking Roll Express, available on YouTube and Spotify.
Every episode.
Should we start putting that on Patreon? So we give
That's
a treat.
bold of you. I assume people are going to pay us to do this, Ollie.
I'd pay to listen to it.
Do you think they'd pay us to stop doing it? That would be.
That's the angle I'm going for. I just want to get paid off by the Fed. I might slag them off so much they have no choice but to give us like some of their record profits to just to shut us up, just to make us stop talking.
I'll even just take a t-shirt. I'm happy with that.
I'd take a Lumberjacks t-shirt.
£5 to have Cammy Skype call you on a bi-weekly basis and rant at you. How about that?
For £2.50, you can Skype call me, ask me if I watched Raw this week, and I'll say no because it's probably going to be shit.
While you're watching the F1 and not paying attention.
It's not. You have my full attention. I did watch a bit of Raw this week though because I was waiting for the Wolves game to come on, and it was bad. It was bad.
It's important to mention that we've started this podcast later today so that Ollie wouldn't watch the F1 in the background. Of course, it had nothing to do with me rescheduling it because I'm such a prima donna.
You just let me have my Sunday afternoon. You're a very generous man. I'm doing it either way, son.
This is your Christmas. We're going straight back to the normal time next week.
That's a t-shirt we can do, is like Ollie's face, but in the style of the Big Brother always watching you thing from 1984, but instead of like watching straight on, it's like out the corner of his eye. I'm watching you in regards to the pay-per-view. I think that would make for a great shirt.
You just need,
Patreon.
if the race is on, you just need to call on me to ask me which monster heel would have shit in a bathtub. That's all I'm here for.
Patreon for $10 a month and hear Ollie's F1 podcast.
Or to continue the theme of referential humour for a podcast that is still in its infancy, we could go down the rabbit hole of questioning what monster heel shit in the bathtub and then subsequently locked Owen Hart in that said bathtub so that he could miss a match at and in your house.
Imagine that. That is a monster heel move. That's a Kane move.
He's definitely shat in a bathtub.
Oh, he absolutely has. If any residents in Knoxville, Tennessee are listening, your mayor is shit in a bathtub.
That smile. That damn smile.
Right.
What match are we on now, Lewis?
We are on to match number 4, Mr. Perfect versus Brutus the Barber Beefcake, which is maybe the first legitimately good match of the pay-per-view.
Yeah,
that's a big statement.
Really? That's a crazy statement.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because his selling is so good, instantly becomes.
This is not a good match. This is a good performance.
Yes.
By Kurt Hennig. Mr. Perfect's good.
It's the old broomstick match where you've got one man that's entirely carrying it, though.
In one corner, you've got Hulk trying to get Brother Brutai over, and in the other, you've got Lewis trying to get Kurt Hennig over. I wonder who'll win this one.
History's been a real bitch, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
I absolutely love Mr. Perfect.
Oh yeah, we all do. Sorry.
He feels like one of the only wrestlers you could legitimately call Mr. Perfect as well. It's not a gimmick. He was a genuinely solid worker.
Yeah, he's flawless.
Fun fact: he was originally booked to win that year's Royal Rumble.
What? Why didn't he?
Because that wasn't going to work for Hulkster, brother.
Suppose.
Oh man, I love Mr. Perfect. Even I'm struggling to think alternate universe where he's headlining WrestleMania 6 against Hulk Hogan.
Because it's crazy to say that he's too small.
Just conditioned me so much to know that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
Never would have happened.
It's crazy to look at a man like that and just say, God, he's too small. You know what I mean? Like, he never would have, and especially in that era, he would have never have looked good in the main event scene. I mean,
I was about to say, yeah, maybe 10 years later. So,
Yeah.
like, with the invasion and everything, you've got Guerrero, Jericho, Mysterio coming in. He would have been
a great European champion. I totally agree.
He would have wrestled the second match on so many Judgment Days.
He'd have been perfect for a main event in your house.
It'd have probably been the leader of the DOA.
Mr. Perfect, more like Mr. Sunday Night Heat.
You need only look at how his illegitimate son Dolph Ziggler is being booked today to know that Mr. Perfect would probably not be treated that much better nowadays.
That is true.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I think Dolph Ziggler's such a fucking mark that I can't take him seriously. So I doubt anyone that's in the legitimate wrestling business can look him in the eye and I don't think he can sell himself. I think he's too busy going, I can do this like this person and blah blah blah. Like he doesn't.
His
Sorry.
bio on Twitter for a while was professional stand-up. I wrestle to pay the bills. I don't think he's joking. I think it's just a did a be for the money so he can do his passion projects. Fair play to him if that's the case. But,
Yeah.
I think Dolph Ziggler could be a bit better as well. But we're also talking about a guy that was just recently in the main event and is a former world champion. He's not been treated that badly.
He's still hired for one thing. That seems to be a bit of a fucking plus nowadays.
Yeah, but everybody gets a run with the world title nowadays. That means absolutely nothing.
There's like 7
That's
world titles.
They all look the same as well. How the hell do you know who's what?
The colour of the strap.
You get a big W in different flavours.
And then what they do, they just whenever someone else wins in a different sport, they just send them a belt.
Yeah.
I tried to not go down this fucking rabbit hole, and yet here we are again.
It just doesn't make any sense. Before you used to have the winged eagle or the fucking spinner belt. You had the big gold belt. You had the cruiserweight belt. You had the fucking tag team belts. You had belts, and they all look different. Now they all look the same.
I like to go on record and point out that not only did Ollie put the big spinner belt next to the big gold eagle belt, but he didn't even talk about the big gold belt or any such memorable.
Now, what big gold belt are we talking about here? Like the WCW one or like the actual Attitude Era one?
I'm thinking big gold belt. That's what I always think of the brand split when I think the big WCW style, the World Heavyweight Championship, as it were.
Yeah.
I'm saying that because they were so markedly different as well. Like from a distance, I could even tell you who's the World Heavyweight Champion and who's the WWE Champion. Or when I think about it, now I see someone with the belt and it's like, who the fuck are you? And are you the Cruiserweight Champion, the World Heavyweight Champion, the TV Champion, the fucking NWA Champion? I don't know, man.
Don't you dare bring the NWA into this, Ollie.
Fuck you. Rest in peace, Easy E.
So hold on, not to take another. Well, actually, it is to take another shot at the product because we can. But now they have a Universal Champion and a World Champion. But yet Drew McIntyre, who's the World Champion, is treated as more than the Universe Champion, despite the fact that the universe is bigger than the world.
I'm going to tap out on this one and blame it on Bruce Pritchard.
The Universal Championship was a great idea when they first had it because Finn Balor won it. Then Kevin Owens had it, and then it went downhill right after that and became like a Legends belt.
Yeah.
At first, I thought it was going to be the belt for the kind of. It was almost like an enhanced IC title in many ways. It was for the workers, and then it's just been a total joke.
Goldberg.
See, the thing is, it would work well to work it as a Legends belt, but the fact is, you've run out of legends.
It is staggering to think that since 2010, they've had 10 years to build new stars, and who have they got?
Yeah, they've literally like fucked it and brought Goldberg back. Now again, I'm a huge mark for Goldberg, but I don't know. I don't know what universe you're like. Yeah, fuck it, man. Let's just bring Goldberg back. We've run out of ideas.
Goldberg's Roman Reigns all they want. But Roman Reigns is one of the biggest earners for that company.
Yeah.
He's actually more popular than the Boo Boys on Raw would make you think. I think he was the 4th biggest merchandise seller, only behind Taker, Cena, and Lesnar. Somebody must like him for buying his stuff. You put his picture, a thumbnail on YouTube and stuff like that. It was getting the most hits.
I don't know, man.
It just feels like there's less legends. But maybe again that's rose tinted spectacles. But it just feels like no one's apart from Reigns as well.
I think it's more to do with the product being too convoluted. I think the stars are there. They're just lost in the noise.
Who was watching on this little segment of Raw before the match came on? Was it Seth Rollins?
Yeah.
He looks a bit like CM Punk.
Yeah, that'll probably.
Yeah, CM Punk with a wasting disease. Yeah, it was one of those. It just the promo. It was just too rigid. It's one of those. The whole of it's been stage managed, and it's like you've not got actors. You've got incredibly strong people who, again, there is some scripture to it, but at the same time, the whole purpose is to throw each other about and talk shit about each other. If you try and like get them to act, then that's when it becomes a problem, and that's what I think the problem is. It's too scripted.
You kind of miss when guys would just scream their promos. Now they all try to do that kind of quiet, sociopathic way, and it just falls completely flat.
I'm not looking for a fucking monologue. I'm looking you for just be like, a fucking Triple H, I'm going to kick your ass.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you need to say. Triple H, I'm going to kill you. It's like, yeah, okay, cool, sweet, right, see you at WrestleMania.
Interesting you mentioned Triple H as well, because Triple H agrees with you in regards to promos. Hence why NXT is a lot more kind of off script than the main product, so to speak.
It's just one of those. Vince is going to have to die before Paul takes the reins, though.
Vince will never die.
We're not going to get an episode without talking about Vince's demise.
Look, we've emptied the spare room out this week. We've sorted the spare room out. I found a bottle of champagne. I'm either way.
No.
It's in the fridge. I'm either waiting for Prince Andrew or Vince McMahon.
Tell you, Vince would love us all.
Right, let's go on to something a little bit more comfortable, shall we? Roddy Piper blacking up. Next up, we've got Roddy Piper versus Bad News Brown. In a way, we have to talk about this, don't we? There's no real getting around it.
Oh, look, I mean, I've not got that many followers on Twitter. I'm willing to fall on the sword here. It was a different fucking time, all right? Get over it. He was playing a heel, although he wasn't being interpreted as one by the crowd. He was definitely playing one, and you know he does it well. And it was an outrageous thing to do back then, but maybe not in the same connotations as it is now. It somewhat done the job. It kind of didn't, seeing as he got cheered, which you know has many connotations in and of itself. I just don't understand what they were trying to do because of that kind of thing. It's bad booking. If we were to ignore the implications of it, at the end of the day, it's bad booking because he was booked as the heel and he wasn't a heel. You know?
I've not read Bad News Brown, thought about it, but this is a guy that once offered Andre the Giant a square go for a racist comment on the bus, which Andre the Giant apparently backed down.
He looks legit.
He does. He looks the business, man. I wouldn't fuck with him.
It's just you've got Roddy in the pre-match promo talking about how Bad News Brown's got like bug eyes and massive nostrils and that, and you just at what point do you rein it in? At what point does Vince just take the script and go, right, no, just can you not be racist, please, for 5 minutes? Can we just do that promo again where you just call him like jackass or something?
It's one of those. I agree with Cammy that whatever, it was 30 years ago in a company with some old guys in it, run by a carny from the south. It is what it is, but why do they need to paint him half black?
Yeah, there was.
That's what I don't understand.
It's just the fact they used to show the footage up until at least 2008.
Yeah,
you know, like it took a while for times to change.
Yeah, but this is also a company that only 8 years later had wrestlers come out in blackface.
Yeah, it's
and not a kind of like half black, half not part of some kind of weird gimmick promo that Piper was doing. They actually blacked up X-Pac.
Yeah, and then we've got WrestleMania 19 with Triple H and Booker T.
Yeah, it's. I appreciate, yes, in the 1990s it was a different time. It's just that it's still the same time for WWE for a long time.
It's on the network, baby. You know, it's immortalized.
It's
cancelable moments, all those Triple H versus Booker T's, all those Vince McMahon dropping the M-bombs on pay-per-view, they're all there.
You can still search those too. They're searchable.
Yeah.
Whereas you kill your mother of your child, and you can't suddenly be searched on the network. It's a crime.
It was a crime.
That's the
literally
problem,
illegal.
exactly, Cameron.
I was about to say, I think that's why the Chris Benoit thing was so bad. But yeah,
I'm just saying you're all too soft,
guys,
okay?
Watch all those Rockers, the Rockers matches while you can, because they're not going to be there very long after the police scrape the Chattanooga River.
So, you go back to that Shawn Michaels featured in Partner. I love that. I thought it was quite a decent match.
Martin Jannetty, man. If anyone doesn't follow our Twitter, Martin Jannetty is all we need to say. Get that searched.
If you told me at the start of the year that Marty Jannetty would be in a Vanity Fair article, I wouldn't have believed you.
You told me at the start of the year Marty Jannetty would be one of the most notorious mass murderers in American history. I'd raise an eyebrow.
What would you have believed first, that there would be a global-wide pandemic that would force us into our homes, or that Martin Jannetty would be in Vanity Fair?
For being an alleged serial killer.
I think
I tell you what. I saw the alien thing first, then I did the Marty Jannetty thing. In a sincere heartbeat.
I might want to wind that down a little and say that at the start of the year, would you bet you'd be forced into your home in a global pandemic, or would a wrestler from the 80s/90s confess to murdering a man? I would absolutely put the entire farm on the first thing I heard would be like, just a wrestler from not Marty Jannetty, just a wrestler from the 80s.
He booked his confession completely wrong, though. Like, he should have given an anonymous tip, and then after they drained it and they found the skeleton, he should have just pulled back the big hood and it was me, Polish.
Oh man, no wonder he kept getting fucking sacked.
Yeah.
Kept killing all those homosexual men, unfortunately.
Now, to call back to an earlier point in the episode, murdering a gay man, that's the big heel move.
Yeah. You're going to get some nuclear heat for that one.
Well, that's exactly what it was. It wasn't go away heat. People were 100% interested. He still knows how to get over. Because the thing is if you go back, people stop what you... Well, no, please keep listening to the podcast. But if you go and look at what he says, he doesn't have to mention it. And that's the most interesting part of all.
That's what I don't get. It's like, why do you need to tell us? And at the same time, you're like, what, in your 60s? This was 50 years ago, Martin.
It was the equivalent of him putting a murder confession on the internet and then prefacing it by saying, and that's why I didn't eat my breakfast this morning. Like, it didn't make any sense whatsoever.
He just put it in there, and it's not even the murder part of it as well. Just the whole thing is weird. Like, the murder part makes the most sense to me. It's like, yeah.
He's thought about it, he's wrote it out, and he's hit send and not regretted it.
He's just posting through it, man. He's just...
Marty Jannetty strikes me as a man who doesn't have many regrets in life, Thomas. And I doubt this is one of them.
I was about to say, you say he thought about it and wrote it out. He strikes me as a man who does not think about it.
Can you imagine if he did actually have a social media manager?
I'm just imagining an agency full of people like me in like button-down Hawaiian shirts, being like, "Yeah, that looks good, Marty. That looks really good."
Screaming.
Yeah, it's just one of those when your boss is talking to you, and you're screaming inside. You are just imagining all the ways you could just climb out of a window and just fall to your death, but you're just like, yeah, that works for me. Yeah.
Falling upwards.
His lawyer was giving it the old "leave your body, Seymour, leave your body."
Wait, what match are we on?
We are on Bad News Brown versus Roddy Piper.
Oh yeah, the racist thing, right? Okay.
Yeah. It's taking an interesting diversion.
Not only can I point out, typical Fed, not only did they have a racist angle, but yet again they did not put the right man over. It was a double count out. So it's almost to say, if it was an analogy for racism, they'd go, maybe they're both right.
Yeah, it feels like there's some very fine people on both sides.
Yeah.
Until WrestleMania 19, where they just straight up go, Booker T should have continued to carry his bags. Oh, we've done you wouldn't believe we're wrestling fans, other than the fact that we have wrestling knowledge.
No, I think we are wrestling fans, and that's why we hate it so much, because we know we can't just walk away. It's like what I'm not watching right now, Formula One. I know it's terrible. I know it is absolute garbage, but I watch it every week.
Our faces are calloused with constantly having to raise our palms to our foreheads in disgust. You know, it's just... God, what a carny sport. Not even a sport.
Been watching wrestling for 30 years. I'm not ready to go off this train yet.
I'm going to ride till the wheels come off, baby.
We've got like 10 matches to cover in the space of 15 minutes.
Let's do it.
The next one
next
might
up
take
we've
us
got
some
Heart
time.
Foundation versus the Bolsheviks.
Oh, well, this will be easy.
Yeah.
This was 19 seconds long. That is absolutely hilarious.
The only thing that's terrible is that I mean, hometown crowd, the crowd deserved more, and so did the Heart Foundation. Let's move on.
Yeah, why would you bury the hometown heroes? You know, it's just the stupidest thing in the world.
Right, match number 7, Barbarian versus Tito Santana. Nothing.
I'm more of a Carlos Santana kind of guy.
Good commentator, Tito.
You are, actually.
He gave Razor Ramon his name.
Mm.
You know, he should have been there, but maybe not in the ring.
Match
What a
number
corpse.
Even though it is technically a tag match, let's just call it exactly what it is, which is Macho King versus Dusty Rhodes. This was good.
I like this. I really enjoyed this.
I thought Sherry was excellent as well. You forget how good she was. She's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I like the promos to this match as well. I like the build up to it. I enjoyed this overall.
Yes, Daddy.
I think when you think of managers, I think nothing comes close to people like Sherry.
She'll definitely be in the top 3, or the top 2 even.
And the Dusty Rhodes music, I'm always going to pop for that. Always.
Well, I thought it was Donna Summer's I Feel Love at the start. I thought, my God, Dusty, they really spent some money on this boy's entrance, didn't they? But no, it turned out to be the old American dream.
Well, I mean, there was some great music on this show, to be fair. They were knocking out the park at this point, considering what laid round the corner for the next few years.
Oh, well, I mean, Jake the Snake's entrance theme is just pure synthwave, isn't it? I mean, it really is.
I love it. To this day...
It just captures the essence of that character. It's sinister, it's quite unnerving, it's brilliant.
Magic.
Right, match number 9, Orient Express versus the Rockers. I think we've covered Jannetty pretty extensively.
Should we go back into it? Who's this Shawn Michaels? I think it goes to show like the absolute, because obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, the Rockers were quite hot as well. They're quite a hot tag team.
Fuck yeah.
And the absolute contrasting fortunes between the Rockers, like Michaels putting Jannetty through the window in, I couldn't remember his name, fucking Beefcake's barbershop.
Yeah,
there we go. Yeah, we just talked about Bruce the Barber Beefcake, and it's like, who? Beefcake the Brutus Barber? It's just, it feels like that was a real butterfly flapping its wings on the other side of the world. Is that Michael's got the career and the glistening comeback, and now he is bald. You can't skirt over that. He is bald. He has no hair.
If that's the
worst thing
bald you can say about Michaels is that he's lost his hair, I'd say the man's doing pretty all right.
He's lost more than that. He's down a hairline and an eye.
Yeah, I mean, like,
the absolute.
Shawn Michaels has lost his hair, where he's an ex-tag team partner. Well,
he's lost his freedom.
He's lost his fucking mind.
I'm just glad that the mystery's finally solved when we ask, why the hell was Michaels put over from Jannetty? They were clearly just concerned that if they ever asked Jannetty to bury someone, he'd take it literally.
Yeah.
I think it's because already at that point, Jannetty's frontal lobe was falling off the bone like a good lamb shank.
Oh, I hope we get more chance to talk about Jannetty, not even the Rockers, just Jannetty in the future.
Well, I mean, we can omit a couple of matches for sake of talking about Jannetty. I mean, I think we can omit Dino Bravo versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Made Bravo rest in peace as only being the 7th grisliest wrestler death in history. And that's the only thing I want to get. Yeah. Well, turned out Jannetty was back. Maybe Jannetty did it. Who knows?
It was me, Dino. It was me all along.
You should have took the bump, Dino.
Should have let me go, Val.
Right.
Do you know
Match number 11.
Do you know what this actually
DiBiase versus
surprised me?
Hold
I wouldn't
on.
even surprised me if Marty Jannetty did murder somebody for something like that.
It's
I like this
when,
match.
it's when Lewis is talking about the butterfly effect, the butterfly flapping his wings. There's people. Now it turns out there's probably some people not breathing right now if he hadn't went through that fucking barbershop window. Sorry. Lewis is visually annoyed by the fact we can't get past this. So
I'm not. I'm really not. I'm just thinking about all the cancelable statements we've made in this episode. This is 41 straight minutes of bleeped moments. This is going to be like the lost tape.
To be honest, if we can just edit out you saying Vader, I'll be happy.
With the special attraction, Big Van Vader from the Great American Bash 1990.
I'm going to start like muting.
That very Vader.
I'm going to start muting Vader on Twitter.
You have to meet
dead,
Lewis.
so I don't think you're going to hear much of him.
Listen, I have let you get away with literal murder statements. Me inferring Leon White's name a couple of times is not bad.
I was about to say we've done nothing. We're just reporting what Marty Jannetty may or may not have done.
I love how Lewis is sitting
We
there.
can't rule out the fact that it was part of some drug-induced hallucination, like it's an imaginary friend that he's murdered. Or like he's part of some Hunter S. Thompson fucking Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
You
Chattanooga
see,
River edition.
my working theory is that he never murdered anyone. He's just saying it just to get a pop.
It's important that we try and make sure that Lewis gets a bucket of water dunked over his head, seeing as he thinks that a podcast with probably only 20 listeners is at risk of a defamation lawsuit from Marty Jannetty of all people. Lewis, if
he can't spell defamation, he's not going to come for us, is he?
If I get to that point in my life,
he's not going to know what the fuck we're saying anyway.
If I get to that point in my life, I can look back and say I've achieved something. Okay.
I was about to say, if either a member of the royal family or a billionaire wrestling corporation owner wants to sue me over the fact I'll get white girl wasted at their demise, they are more than welcome to.
See if Marty Jannetty wants to sue us, I'll contribute to his crowdfunder.
Could you imagine all four of us show up suited in booties and just can't keep a straight face as Marty is sitting there rattling at the other table thinking about his next murder?
Actually, no, I take it all back because I don't want Marty Jannetty to go after me.
Yeah, I'm worried about what Marty Jannetty will do to us, not what his lawyers will do.
For those listening to Spotify, you can see a window and behind Lewis, behind Ollie, sorry. I just keep waiting for Marty Jannetty's face to appear. That's it.
See, the worst thing is that's the door to my balcony. That's 2 floors up.
There's just going to be like a lone gunshot and Ollie's camera is just going to turn to static.
The man's capable. If the man's capable of murder, to the scale of which he is conveyed, I'm sure he's capable of appearing at that second story window.
I was about to say, is he listening right now?
It's not even live, and he's.
I can't wait until we just see 5 out of 5 in this call. It's like Marty Jannetty has joined the call.
He's going to descend from your roof like Sting.
You forget which gimmick he had.
He only ever had one gimmick.
Shall we even bother with Ted DiBiase versus Jake Roberts, or have we?
No, I like this match.
Oh, sorry. I need a minute. You go.
Okay. All right.
I thought the promo was excellent. I thought Jake's promo was brilliant. I absolutely loved it. I was just totally. It's been so long since I've watched a Jake promo, and I was just totally hooked when he was speaking. And there was stuff he was saying, but it was also very relevant to today. The kind of stuff he's talking about, he's the class issues and things like that, and having a go at Ted DiBiase for kind of just throwing his wealth about, and the fact that money could go to put a meal on somebody's table and stuff. I'm just totally hooked. I'm this must have been flying over so many kids' heads.
To continue the theme of using this pay-per-view as a platform to talk about the modern day, how blessed are we? No, but I mean, how blessed are we to have this man back on full form, and not only that, for him to be given a platform to do good work and work with young talent. I'd say it's probably one of the few, not only good steps AEW has taken, but just 110 million%. Because he deserved a hell of a lot more than that run-in that he got on Raw, and I'm glad that he's getting it, and you can tell he's embracing it. It's one of the most wholesome things I've ever seen.
I was about to say, all I'd probably say on Jake the Snake now is that it's really good, because obviously he was a really enjoyable wrestler back in the day, but the fact that with DDP and everything, he's got his act straight, and he's doing well for himself, and it's just really good to see. And I completely agree with that.
Genetti could use some of that yoga right now.
Oh, he needs more than
yoga. You know for a fact DDP's contacted him already.
But then I bet he hasn't, only at the concern that it makes him more dangerous.
I suppose, imagine that man can just flex through your gate or something.
Do you think maybe he's broke and he's confessing to murdering somebody that didn't exist, so that he's going to get a jail cell where he'll get 3 square meals a day and a bed and all these other kind of facilities taken care of for? That's what I'm thinking. This is a desperate plea for prison. I don't think he has a gun, so he can't commit armed robbery. So he's just invented a man to murder.
To paraphrase Trump, who I'm sure Genetti is a large fan of, drain the river. I want
the swamp.
Show me the body. Show me the body. That's another paraphrase from Trump. Sorry, I'm done.
I actually think that it's the fact that it's actually plausible that Mark Genetti has not only killed someone, but killed multiple people by his statement, or he's made it up. I don't know what's more believable, because I actually believe Mark Genetti could have killed him or kill again.
Moving on to match number 12, Akeem versus the Big Boss Man. Now, let's move on to match number 13. Yeah, let's move on to match number 13. There's nothing to see here. There's a babyface with a Confederate flag on his shirt that gets cheered. That's all you need to know about this match.
Yeah, he's getting cheered against a white man acting black. It's a very strange thing that's happening overall.
Yeah, a lot of questions to ask over the border.
Mm-hmm.
But Boss Man's music is awesome.
Yeah.
Match number 13, Rick Rude versus Jimmy Superfly Snuka. I quite liked this.
I didn't mind it, but I was expecting more for it. I think I was a lot more excited about it than...
For me, a lot of these matches have been carried by the name as well.
Yeah.
I think it adds a couple more. Obviously, we're not doing the stars anymore. We're just yay or naying it. But even so, this adds a couple more stars on for me. That it is Rick Rude against Jimmy Snuka. If it was Seth Rollins against Braun Strowman,
they really pushed the boat out. Like, when you think about it, Andre had no business being there, and everyone knew it, including them, which is to explain all the Heenan business. But they just really wanted to put on a show. Like, Snuka, by this standards, was he was kind of on his way out too. Ironically, also because of a murder. But we'll stay on track here. I'm fucking trying really hard not to fall back into the Genetti thing. Do you think they were talking backstage about it? how to make it look like an accident. Sorry, but no. Yeah, I mean, but I feel like this is all this is. They've crammed every name they could onto this pay-per-view. I don't have any context. I'm too young to know how big the celebrity power was. And obviously at this point, WrestleMania really was about mixing celebrity with wrestlers. So do you think maybe they were compensating a little bit for the lack of star power that's maybe been there compared to past years or something?
What do you mean lack of star power? They've got Robert Goulet and Mary Tyler Moore. What do you mean they're on it? There's no lack of star power, Cammy.
Clearly they've appealed to the right audience here.
Edge and Christian were in the crowd, but they never cut to them once, and
even Abel was in the crowd as well.
Yeah, it's
absolutely incredible moment.
I do find it funny that obviously, we rightly slag off the modern product that it's like a 3-hour Raw and an 8-hour WrestleMania, and you just shoehorn every name possible into the card. This felt the same as well. I did enjoy it. It was a step change from the In Your Houses we've been doing. Again, it felt like people bought a little bit more, but it just you get to the 2-hour mark and it's just like, well, I want the big finish. I can't spend 3.5 hours.
I would argue that though. I mean, because you're saying like cramming everyone on the pay-per-view and stuff. By their own rights, all the star power that we're referencing as far as wrestling talent is concerned have more than earned their spot to be there. Whereas with the modern product, there's a lot of question marks there when it comes to that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. There are a lot more bigger names, and it does feel like maybe it's the nostalgia thing, but everyone's more or less star. Everyone's a superstar in this. And you're completely correct that they're just shoehorning like blokes off the street into that card, but it's got the same sort of feel to it. It's like, let's just throw everyone into this show and make it 6 years long instead of let's make it a good show, as it were.
There's a really incredible moment. I think it's after the Dino Bravo match when Sean Mooney is going around and he's trying to get an interview with Mary Tyler Moore, and obviously he's asking her, "Are you coming back for Mania 7 next year?" That, and of course she's giving the standard smiles and teeth answer and that, and I think they're talking about Honky Tonk Man and have you got the records and that, and Sean Mooney says to her at one point, "And what about Greg the Hammer Valentine?" And she pauses for a second and goes, "And what about him?" Really sort of disingenuous, like she doesn't know who that is.
She has no idea who it is at all. But do you know DDP is with the Hammer and the Honky Tonk Man? He's driving the car.
He's driving the car, yeah.
Yes.
It's his car.
I thought you were doing the yoga thing again. I was like, oh, that's sick, man. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, DDP was.
Can you imagine Andre the Giant in DDP yoga?
No, because he's dead.
Oh, fuck.
No downward dogs in the world's going to save that guy.
I'm sorry.
Oh, fuck. Let's just move on to the main event, shall we? That's number 14. There's
a lot of dead wrestlers on this card, has to be said.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's one of those as well. Watching this, it's quite jarring and obviously probably quite damning on the company as well. That it's like, he's dead. He's dead. He murdered a guy. He's dead.
He also murdered a guy.
He also murdered a guy. And
he's soon to be dead via lethal injection.
You probably like that. Don't give a buzz. Increase the dosage.
That's maybe one of the sadder things that has been said today. You'll need to edit that one out, Lewis.
No, we're too far gone now. We'll just include everything. There's no point with it. I've had that pretty amazing run. I can't imagine if he does get the lethal injection. Do you think the Executor's just going to be like Vince when he introduced the NWO? I'm going to inject Murray Jannetty with a lethal dose of poison.
Oh, Vince Russo could book it. It could be like a lethal injection in a pole match.
It'll be a WWE 24 doc released on the network.
I mean, we're saying that, but a year from now, you have a fucking electric chair in a wrestling match in WCW.
Yeah,
so.
you do. Yeah. I just watched that the other day.
Oh, is that the first you've seen it?
Yeah, I was at training with my coaches, social distancing obviously, and for some reason that's what we decided to watch after, and I had to leave. It was almost as bad as some of the patter that we've thrown towards Jannetty today. Not quite. So the main event, Lewis.
Yes, we consequently now have 5 minutes to just bury the Warrior. Beyond
No,
complete.
I ain't burying anybody here. I love this match. Absolutely love it. I watched it as a wee guy and I really liked it. And I watched it again a few years ago thinking, I bet this has aged terribly. I still enjoyed it and watched it again this morning actually. And I thought, this is excellent. This is a cracking match. Now, it's very limited what both guys can do. We know that. Although, to be fair, I think Hogan could work, he just didn't want to.
We shouldn't. Some of his Japanese stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
the brother could work.
But this, they work to each other's limitations very, very well. And the crowd is so fucking hot that it reminds me of when people say, like, you watch Hogan and The Rock, it's not a great match, but the crowd make it. And it's similar with this. It's so easy to get invested by it.
Is that not the same venue?
Yeah, it's the SkyDome in Toronto, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I would agree with Thomas. They done best with the tools they were given, sort of thing. If there's any questions to be asked, it's at the bookers themselves. But I mean, if you've got these two top guys, then it has to be booked. So there's not much you can really fault in my mind if you think about it hard enough. Other than the fact that it's maybe not the match that me personally would go to watch consistently.
Yeah. Well, I just thought in the run up to this I would refresh my knowledge of the Ultimate Warrior, so I dug this out. This is the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior.
I love the fact that if anyone's watching right now, his Skype background just blurred it out as if Vince McMahon himself is blurring, is controlling the puppet strings. It's there. It blurred out in case it just so. There you go. We're not going to get the defamation.
There we have it. Silver Vision, self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh no, it's gone again.
This is what I think. It's very telling that for some reason this isn't on the network, although it should be because it's one of the better documentaries that they did. This is up there with like Rise and Fall of EC Dub.
See, I disagree. I'm not a fan. It's a total hatchet job.
It is a hatchet job.
Fair enough. I'm not saying the Warrior didn't deserve to be buried by a lot of the kind of things he's said and done. But they were having goes at him for things I think were unfair, talking about his promos and that. I thought his promo before this match was really good. He's talking fucking mental nonsense. But the story he's telling basically about how I'm a good guy, you're a good guy, I know.
We're all good guys.
Yeah, he's talking about his fans and their fans, how the fans will come together and cheer them and stuff. But he's talking fucking crazy, the things he's saying. But it's, as a kid, that was brilliant.
Well, I just think a lot of his babyface appeal kind of goes out the window towards the start of the interview where he tries to throw the interviewer out and says, how dare you try to breathe the same air as Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior. I think that guy's supposed to be the poster face of the company.
I don't know. I think that's a little pernicky. I quite enjoyed that. But it's also, but what I'm thinking is it's rich for them to be referencing these promos when clearly, I mean, like reference earlier, it feels like the Warrior wrote Vince's lines at the start of this pay-per-view. So clearly they must have found something interesting about it.
Yeah, this felt like the dry run as Warrior, as the big guy. And obviously, calling back to the start of episode, Hogan was on the way. Did he come back or did he go straight to WCW?
No, he came back.
Yeah. He didn't go to WCW until about 93.
Yeah.
But it's interesting back to that documentary, The Warrior. You were Triple H on it, having a go at the Warrior's promos. I'm like, you once pretended to be Kane and had sex with a corpse in an angle.
Yeah.
You're in no position to be talking about anybody else's creativity, brother.
I just think with Warrior though, like this was the guy that was supposed to carry the company till at least 1996.
Oh, it was a total balloon. It was like it was a total unreliable, total nut job.
But it wasn't even like the
nice
brass never do that much. If you go back and watch his matches, they're like 40 seconds long. It's just bounce, bounce, splash, 1, 2, 3, and that's it.
Could it have been anyone else though?
Goldberg.
Convincingly.
No.
Yeah,
No,
it was obvious. It was obvious torchbearer.
it's one of those as well. I think I don't like squash matches. I don't like just the fact that it's over in 40 seconds. Like, well, that was shit. But yeah, if anyone's going to do that, have a 40-second match, it's got to be a big crazy guy like the Warrior, so you can believe that you can do that.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I just feel like there should have been. Obviously, it's down to the fact that Hulk wasn't willing to really sell for the guy, clearly. Because to me, like, just thinking about it on paper, the squash, it means Hulk can always turn around and go, oh, well, it was an off night, kind of thing. Whereas if they had a proper legitimate back and forth and then Warrior then convincingly beats him, I think that would have been of more value to both the company and the Warrior if it were to have happened that way.
It's a fact that Hogan kind of kicks out at 3 1/4.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just one of those infamous moments of, belligerent Hogan, really.
I did enjoy the match, and the kind of kid inside me kind of still got kind of a pop when Hogan started hulking up. You know.
It's one of those. I've got no love for Hogan. I've got an endless list of complaints with Hogan, especially the man who he is as a person, as Terry Boella. But yeah, just the politicker, the wrestler. But when you see him hulking up, pointing at you as well, every time it just gets me. It's just like, yes. Hogan's going for it.
Other than a few moments in his recent history which are just inexcusable, I would say that the politics you're referencing on Hogan's side, I find more justifiable than that of the Click's politics. At least, I think we've referenced this before, but Hogan made everyone money. Everyone benefited from him being at the top of the card. And he did have legitimate gripes sometimes when people have tried to introduce different concepts and stuff like that. He got people paid who probably wouldn't have. People have houses because of this man that otherwise wouldn't have. Albeit this doesn't mean that he is innocent at all. He is a dick, and you can argue countless things towards me. I'm just saying that at least he done some people some good instead of just being selfish and abusive of the situation he found himself in.
I'll completely agree with that. Again, no love for it. Again, I didn't enjoy the politicking, but I completely agree that at least Hogan politicked and everyone did well out of it. Yeah, the Click, obviously, as we've seen from previous episodes as well, the Click made no one money. The Click made everything shit as well. It made it genuinely unenjoyable.
Then again, he did grass on the Union, so, he is a dick.
Hulk Hogan is a scab. There's a lot of things that probably need to be edited out of this podcast, but I'd like to go on record that Hulk Hogan is a scab. If this gets edited out, I will just start tweeting at Marty Jannetty. Do you agree Hulk Hogan is a scab?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Marty Jannetty. He may have murdered a man. He may have murdered more than one man. He's not grass.
No, he's not grass. Snitches get stitches.
No, he is. He grassed on Marty Jannetty.
I am in favour of putting this recording in a vault, and then when we've got to our very last episode of our very last pay-per-view of 2007, after we've got all the commendable, comments and all that, we'll just slide this one out there under the rug as the last one.
I actually think that if the world continues to decline to the point wherein we could entertain a Hunger Games scenario, we just put this sound recording up on Twitter and at Marty Jannetty, and last person alive wins.
Do we all team together? Do we all team together for this, or is it just every man for himself against Marty Jannetty?
I say just kind of like a Predator scenario in which we are in it together, but we've all got our own egos.
Yeah, that's podcasting, man.
Marty Jannetty just picking us all off one by one.
Sitting there clicking in the trees.
Who would rather fight one giant Marty Jannetty or 10 regular-sized Marty Jannettis?
With a laser pointer.
So is Marty Jannetty a cat now? Can we just get rid of Marty Jannetty with a laser pointer?
There's something out there waiting for us, and it ain't no man.
Right, guys, I think we've covered WrestleMania 6. I can't even say extensively.
No, we haven't.
We have not covered this pay-per-view.
We've certainly covered
We
that
have-
social media post where Mark Jannetty.
Look,
I've used this as a framing device to just shit on Warrior and Jannetty.
I don't think we shit on Jannetty at all. I respect the man for his boldness. Okay, I'm sorry if I haven't got that across.
Oh my god, if they find a skeleton at the bottom of the Chattahoochee River, man,
we're gonna have to do a live special. All I'm saying, if you've listened to this and you've enjoyed it, go and watch WrestleMania 6 to find out what actually happened.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this and don't want to find out what happened in WrestleMania 6, tune in next week where we let democracy fuck us over again.
Do you find they'll find a skeleton above the river with a broken jaw when Marty super kicked it?
I have never been a part of a recording with as many This You Twitter moments as this. This is going to come back to haunt us if we ever decide to run for political office.
I welcome, again, people saying this you, and it's just recording me saying Hulk Hogan is a scab.
Hey, if Kane can run for office, he shot in a bath.
Yeah, he was a part of that angle where Triple H got into a coffin and yeah, you know. So I think we're okay.
He also might have murdered his family, you know, that's still not really been...
We don't, again, this is wrestling, we don't know what's real and what's fake. In fact, no, actually, everything that's been said on this podcast is a work. It's all scripted.
Mm-hmm.
We're all playing heels.
Don't track this at home, kids.
My name is actually Butler Oliver Hickenbottom, but I just call myself Oliver Butler. And this is all a work of fiction.
This is going to be like that black and white, don't try this at home that they used to put at the start of every WWE DVD. You know, who gets cancelled on a Sunday afternoon, you know.
There's going to be Vince McMahon stood in an empty ring being like, yesterday we listened to the Talk and Roll Express. We have since found out about the horror of that podcast, and this podcast will never be mentioned again.
You see, I didn't screw the Talk and Roll Express podcast. The Talk and Roll Express podcast screwed the Talk and Roll Express podcast.
If anyone's going to screw us, we're going to screw us.
Ollie's going to get done on a wellness policy for drinking out-of-date bottles of champers that he finds.
Does champagne go out of date?
Yeah, man.
When does it go out of date?
I don't know. Why would I know when your bottle of champagne goes
Well, you're accusing me of drinking out-of-date champagne. You don't know when it goes out of date?
All right, Hogan.
Let's go home, boys. Let's go home.
You just,
1992,
no.
I did not take steroids.
He's coming here. He's trying to be all knowledgeable about everything. He doesn't know when my champagne goes off.
Arsenio Hall, I'm just telling you right now that you know nothing of my steroid abuse.
That's one thing I just remember there actually was quite a nice wee reference in this to the real life incident when Hogan choked the TV presenter out.
Yeah.
Ventura mentioned that the headlock.
Yeah.
He went, that's a devastating move. Just ask how the guy's name, Dave Bez or something.
Because that was recently brought up with the Dark Side of the Ring when Dave Schultz slapped the reporter and got fired, and then on live television Hulk Hogan choked a man out and, you know, was allowed to fuck over every single wrestler I ever came across.
Yeah. At least he didn't kill him though.
Like Mark Jannetty.
Can you imagine Mark Jannetty was on that show? It's like, so is wrestling fake? Stabbed.
Ever seen the bottom of a river? He gets all Jake the Snake on him. Okay, right, take us home, Lewis.
Yes, take us home. I would love to see what pay-per-view we'll be covering next time. Sadly, I don't, because it's democracy and it will be elected, but it will be a pay-per-view from 1991.
Marty Jannetty's court case.
I thought we were going to jump a bit years.
Yeah, I know, that's what I said. This is 1990, so we're doing 1991.
No, but chronologically it might start to get a bit tiring.
Yeah, can we do like 2003 or something?
Okay then.
How about we'll leave it up to the viewers. We'll keep this relevant, like we're not just having a spat on a podcast. Ladies and gentlemen listening, we'll leave it to you. Follow our Twitter, whatever that is. Lewis will tell you right now, and we'll go home.
Are we talking Roll Express, but we lost a few vowels because I couldn't get their username long enough?
Yes.
God damn it, Lewis, take us home right now.
Right, okay, we can't do that. Just
I have tore my quads, jumping into the ring, trying to tell you the finish. And you all still stare at me as if you don't know how to go home. The Rumble's been going on for about 45 minutes now. I'm sitting on the floor screaming.
We can't even manage a podcast. I understand why Vince McMahon only sleeps 3 hours a night. This has taught me so much.
What do you
Marty Jannetty doesn't have Twitter, so...
You stop fucking talking about Jannetty!
No, Vince might only sleep 3 hours a night, but see if you cross Marty Jannetty, you sleep with the fishes.
At Triple H, I don't care, man.
Right, guys, until next time, this has been an episode of the Talking Roll Express. Take care.
An episode of the Marty Jannetty podcast. Thank you. See you later. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
The Marty Jannetty murders will be back next week. Oh man, goodbye everyone. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.